Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas from Red Gaming Tech. It is, of course, the 25th of December, also known as Christmas Day, and I'm going to be taking a look at the Steam December deals. So today's are actually fairly disappointing considering I and many others were pretty sure that we were going to be seeing Far Cry 3 along with some other titles, but that is not happening. All I can think of is that Steam kind of, well, Valve, should I say, kind of figured that people would be too busy doing other things today and not buying all their money, so maybe it'll be on tomorrow. Regardless, there are a couple of reasonably good deals on, but nothing that you should exactly be super excited about. I'm going to start off with Batman franchise. It's 75% off, although there's no pack with both of them in it. You have to purchase them separately. There's Arkham City, the Game of the Year edition, and Batman Arkham Asylum. It's worth noting, before I jump into this, that... the hell? That you should definitely play Arkham Asylum before City. It's that simple. If you don't, you're going to miss out on a little bit of the storyline, especially between the Joker and, well, Batman. In my opinion, both games are absolutely fantastic and well worth playing. And not much more to say that I haven't said about these titles already. They seem to be a staple of the sales. So if you only have a very small amount of money to work with, you could consider not getting them because they're going to be on sale again pretty soon. But having said that, they are very, very worth it and they will last you for quite a while. It's also worth noting that for the most part, Batman is, well, it is a single player game. There are challenges and stuff, and it just feels great. Arkham City had a few issues with DX11, but I've recently tried playing it. Well, I have been playing a little bit on the playthrough. I have to put out another part. Actually, I've already recorded it for you guys, but yeah, it all runs fine now in DX11, especially with physics. So both games, by the way, work well with NVIDIA physics, and actually looks really good, especially with the smoke and fog. That isn't to say it looks bad with ATI cards, however, or AMD as they're now known. Yeah, so I'd highly recommend this game. The storyline and everything else is absolutely fantastic, and I wouldn't want to choose between either of the titles. Another one that's actually surprisingly good, and another superhero game actually, is Spiderman. I've covered it on this channel, so definitely go check out my video. It will give you about the first 30 minutes or maybe 40 minutes of gameplay. It's actually a really good game, and I was surprised. You've also got all the DLCs available, and the game's £12.49 or 50% off if you prefer. And for the most part, I'd actually encourage people checking out. It's really good, and the combat feels a bit, I don't know the exact word, it feels a bit, almost a bit too fast at points, but I think that's because I'm really used to Batman and those type of games, and Spider-Man's not like that. He has the speed and agility, so I think that's just more me, but it is a very, very, very good title, and I'd encourage you to check it out, especially if you're fans of either the movie or the comic book, which, you know, either way. You've also got the DLC pretty cheap at the moment as well, including the Stan Lee Adventure Pack and so forth. Castle Crashers, I can honestly say that I've not played this. I believe Marta covered this on an RGT video, don't quote me on that. It's, well, fairly critically acclaimed. I can't really say much about it. I haven't really played it. It's 66% off, which is £3.39, which is a pretty good price. You can also pick up downloadable content for the game as well. You can pick up a 4-pack of this, which is £10.18. So that's pretty good. I'd encourage you to check it out. Anyway, what else have we got on today's rather odd deals? Yes. Hotline Miami. This one is another really odd title, to say the least. And I'd encourage you to check out Amata's playthrough of parts of the game on our channel, Red Gaming Tech. It is highly critically acclaimed. I can't say I've personally played it, but it is basically put together in the 8-bit kind of era, and it's extremely violent and action-packed and so forth. It's very cool and set down in the top-down perspective. I think for those of you who are retro gamers, you're going to really love it. It, as I said, is acclaimed pretty well. Eurogamer, Rock Paper Shotgun, all the others think it's pretty great, and most users do as well. For the price, for £3.49, it could well be worth it. You've also got the Super Indie Mega Pack for £50, which is pretty good. It does have some good games in that, so you could consider getting that instead, but there's obviously a huge price difference between £3.49 and £50. Next one, Magic the Gathering, Jewel of the Planeswalkers, Jewel of the Planeswalkers, if I can bloody get the word out, you can tell I'm hungry. Anyway, I believe Amata covered this again. She should be doing this one anyway. I don't really know much about this type of game, if I'm honest. It scores fairly well on Metacritic and so on, but I don't know enough about it to know much about these card type of games. I'd highly recommend you check it out if this is your cup of tea. You can also pick up the special edition for $7.49, which of course comes with lots of little bits and pieces. In my opinion, one of the absolute classic titles for today, however, is Deadlight. It's actually based upon, well, it's actually using the Unreal Engine, and it's a survival horror kind of game set in the third person. It doesn't do anything particularly new. It is basically based upon a zombie apocalypse. Oh, by the way, there is redgamertech.com videos on this one, so I would encourage you to check it out. It is actually really pretty, and there are several areas where you actually feel like you want to walk into the background. Indeed, in some areas it doesn't, especially the foresty areas, it does look very similar to Alan Wake. I'd encourage you highly to check this one out, even if you're kind of getting sick with the zombie apocalypse idea. It does work extraordinarily well, is basically what I'm going to say to you. And in my opinion, it's one of the better games out there. You can also pick up the soundtrack as well, should you desire. That's 50% off as well. Or if you want to pick up the soundtrack edition, which, and guess what, it comes with the soundtrack. That's $5.99, which gives you the soundtrack as well. As I've said, this is a very good game, and I'd highly recommend you check it out, even though it doesn't do anything particularly new. Now, what else have we got? We've still got Community's Choice, which is available for another 9 hours 40 with Towns. I know it's rated fairly well. I honestly haven't checked it out that much, however. Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition. I checked out on RGT, and when I first did, I'll be honest with you, I absolutely sucked at the game. In retrospect, I probably should have played it a bit more before I actually did the video, and that's one of the reasons why now, if the game's really difficult or whatever, I actually do play it some beforehand. So I'll be honest with you, I probably made a mistake there. However, the port itself, when it was released, had some issues, particularly with internal rendering resolutions and so on. There have been a number of fan-made patches, and Namco themselves, or should I say developers themselves, have released some stuff. From what I understand, it comes down to the fact that they didn't have much experience, should I say, developing for the PC platform. I'd recommend you check it out if you're a fan of very hard games. This is not one of those games that you can play and you can feel really cool in 3 seconds flat. You will die, and you will die again, and you will die again, and you will die again, and you will die again. I am warning you. It's very difficult, but it is very satisfying, and I'd recommend you check it out. It is fairly expensive. Actually, I was surprised at how expensive it is on the daily. 50% off, $14.99. I wouldn't actually worry too much about picking this up if you've got a limited budget. It's available on this price for several other places as well. I'm not going to go into them. You can Google it yourselves, but it's available several places for this price. So don't worry your pretty little heads about it. It's it's fairly common at this price. So Steam is not really doing a particularly great deal, if I'm honest. Naughty Steam. Terraria. Jeez. This is one of those titles that is almost could be considered a rip-off of Minecraft, but it's not. It really isn't. It's a 2D, very 8-bit looking title, and it's one of those games where you can play with buddies and friends and colleagues and co-workers, and you could be very happy doing so. As far as I understand it, it is no longer being updated, but it has a very long shelf life. You're not going to play this and complete it in 2 minutes flat, and it really does get a lot better if you're playing with others. At some point or another, I'm going to convince Amato and possibly Spoonie Kipper to play this with me, because I think 3 players on this would absolutely be hilarious. But, yeah, you can basically visit Hell and go all the way up and visit Sky Islands and goodness knows what else, and craft various armor and so on. In my opinion, it's well worth $2, but you're going to have to sink time in it, just like Minecraft. The only issue is there's quite a lot of games at the moment that are absolutely ridiculous time sinks. Regardless, this is £2, and what the bollocks are you going to buy for £2 in reality, or whatever that is in dollars, or whatever currency you happen to be using? You can also get 66% off the 4-pack, which means you can get 4 copies of this game, which is £6. So if you're doing the math, that means you get 1 whole game for free, or 1 whole copy for free. If you happen to be one of those players who just wants this game immensely, I'd recommend you check out. Very, very, very good game. That is what it basically comes down to. And there are far, far, far worse deals that you could be getting involved in. Football Manager, I honestly can say that I've never played. I have a few friends who do. I can honestly tell you that I have no interest in football or soccer, as you guys in the United States would call it. It's not my thing at all. As some of you may know who are long-time readers, I'm more into bodybuilding and that type of thing. But nevertheless, Football Manager is one of those games where if you're heavily into football or you're into strategy, you're going to absolutely love this game. It's literally stats galore, and I know someone who literally has spent all night quite consistently playing this game, literally 16, 17 hours a day, quite regularly. So yeah, I mean, it's very, very addictive for those who are into it. I can honestly say that, once again, it's not my type of thing, but if it is your type of thing, then go ahead and grab it. Before I forget, there's some other deals that I want to go through. Humble Bundle 7 is available. This is not anything new. It's got 8 days remaining. It has some really good games on it, actually, including Snapshot, Binding of Isaac, including the DLC, Closure, indie game The Movie, which is available on other places anyway, but still, Shank 2, and some other bits and pieces. You can also unlock Dungeon Defenders plus DLC plus Legend of Grimrock if you beat the asking price. I mention this one because it's very, very, very good value for money. They're all DRM free should you so desire. You can also put them on Steam and you get the soundtracks as well. It's insanely worth purchasing this, in my opinion. Yeah, very good. Very, very good indeed. So yeah, I'd recommend checking that out as well. What else have we got? I know there's something else I wanted to mention. Currently on GOG, also known as Good Old Games, we have Pick and Mix Telltale Adventures, 80% off. That makes it $34.94. That's a really good. With this, you get an absolute ridiculous plethora of games. You get Sam and Max Beyond Time and Space, Sam and Max Save the World, Sam and Max The Devil's Playhouse, Wallace and Gromit's Grand Adventures, Back to the Future the Game, and Tales of Monkey Island. All of these are really, really critically acclaimed, and all of them are very, very popular. Sam and Max in particular are absolutely loved, and Back to the Future as well is actually really popular, and people seem to really like it. I'd actually encourage you to check this one out. It's a very, very good deal should you be into adventure / point and click type of games. Gamers Gate are currently doing 70% off the deluxe edition of Anno 2070. However, an eagle-eyed viewer yesterday, who obviously has played the game and I haven't, has mentioned that Anno has a very bad DRM, and so you may wish to avoid it depending upon your stance with DRM and how much it pisses you off. Me personally, it pisses me off quite a bit. Next one is Condemned Criminal Origins, £2.49. This was released on the Xbox near launch, so it's a pretty old title, but very good. It's also a the best way I can describe this is a psychological horror in the first person, and it actually uses melee combat for the most part. Guns are very limited, and I do mean extraordinarily limited. You could also pick up Saints Row 2 on the same site for £1.74, and you could also pick up Sniper Elite and some other bits and pieces. You can also pick up Dead Space Collection, 70% off that. It's actually a pretty good price for Dead Space 1 and 2 for some $49, so that could well be worth it indeed. GreenManGaming.com are currently doing a pretty great deal actually on various bits and bobs, including a 30% off code for digital titles. This means you can actually use this on quite a lot of stuff, and it means you can get a game like Devil May Cry, which is currently £1.69. You can actually use this 30% code and get DMC4 for I'm sorry, I did mean to say Devil May Cry 4, not the original, Devil May Cry, the upcoming one, for £1.19, and you can actually use that same code on, say, Doom 3 BFG edition, which means it will be about £6-7, and you could also use it on other titles as well. Of course, the code could be used on many different purchases, so it's well worth it, and they're actually doing cashback as well. So if you're a sneaky gamer, that would be a good call. Finally, on Get Games Go, there's a pretty good deal on a couple of titles. The first one would be Hell Yeah, Wrath of the Dead Rabbit. It's available for £3.39. This will give you CD keys, which will work fine on Steam and so on. It's a completely legitimate, and they're not using, really obscure countries and buying them cheap, that type of thing. It's actually pretty cool website. I've used it once or twice for games, and they were absolutely fine. Well, at least my experiences have been. They've also got Far Cry 1 and 2 for £4.99. That's a bundle. It's not bad. They've also got Far Cry 3 for £27. It's not the cheapest I've seen it, but it's getting there. It's getting there. And you've got a few other bits and bobs, which may or may not tickle your interest, including Overlord 2 for £2.49. Once again, I've seen some of these titles a little bit cheaper, but at the moment they're just edging it out, and they're not too bad at all. Could be worth checking out. So yeah, I think that just about does it for me for today. Hopefully you guys have found the video helpful. I will of course be putting out more videos tomorrow. I'm really curious when actually Far Cry 3 is going to go on Steam. I was pretty certain it was going to come on today, and well, it hasn't. So all I can think of is going to be tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if it is tomorrow. My guess originally was today or tomorrow, and if it's not then, I have absolutely no idea when it's going to be. Maybe New Year's. Anyway, hopefully you guys have found the video helpful. I will see you soon. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now, baby.